Good early afternoon, my gardening friends. It's, let's see, Saturday, August 25th at just past noon, and time for another update, despite the fact that I haven't posted any of this on YouTube. I'm actually going to try and concentrate on that today, try and get all caught up. So this one will probably show up along with probably 3 other episodes. Anyway, let's sort of give you the quick rundown of what's been going on around here. Here we go. Oh, he changed his mind. Oh, maybe not. He's not too sure. Let me back up a little. Maybe we'll actually catch him. Alright, well, that's the neighbors that you hear off in the distance. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but let's talk about the garden. So, here's the big planter. I've done a lot of cleaning around here, and I've tried to get, let me get the scissors out of there. I'm trying to get the yellow pear tomatoes to grow again. So I've got one little sprout there. I planted like 4 or 5. Maybe I'll get more, I don't know. These are the tumbler tomatoes in the next 2 compartments, and they're really not doing much. They're just getting bigger. They're not producing anything. Perhaps they've been over-fertilized. I'm going to have to try and figure that out. The 2010 tomato that he's just been hanging on since 2010. Well, I keep cutting it back. Doesn't look like much up here, but if I climb up here a little bit, you can see there's actually a spot coming around and growing up over here. So I think the main problem is the air conditioner, and it has been really hot, but it's now finally cooling down. So it's just the exhaust off the air conditioner. The nasturtium in the back, I keep cleaning. It's not really doing anything, so at this point I'm thinking I may just rip it out and plant some more nasturtium. Coming back down and looking at the medium planter. This is basically just a squash planter at this point. I got the main squash plant that grew up and along, and it's doing fairly nicely, though I've not seen any more fruit on it for a while, and it may just again be the heat. Now that it's cooling down, we may be in better shape. Down here I planted a few more seeds. I think that's on a previous episode, and I don't see them sprouting yet, but that's okay. I've got some other things sprouting, which makes me feel better. The bean plants, as usual, are being attacked by the grasshoppers, which I've been trying to go after as much as I can. This is the purple royal burgundy bean, I think. So you can kind of see the blooms on there, but not a lot of leaves, so it's not doing too well. I just keep growing it until it's completely dead. Moving on, we've got the smaller planters. I'm not really sure what we've got for flowers in this first one. We'll just wait until they bloom. I've got the basil still growing. Sorry for all the interruptions there. The really sort of thing here is we've got the cucumbers doing nicely. I've got this one growing up here. I believe that is the bush. Oh no, sorry, that one's actually coming from the front and working its way back, and then one in the back has worked its way over the front. So this one is supposed to be the bush. It's got lots of flowers. We'll see if it starts giving me fruit soon. This is the, I don't know, oh, this is maybe the lemon cucumber. We'll find out when they bloom. The strawberries, basically they just seem to sort of give me batches at a time, so right now it's more in its dormant state. We got this nice little flower here. I think this is the one that had the little pink blooms on it that we had on the other end. Now you can kind of see what the beans look like and how much of the foliage the grasshoppers have gone after. Now what's interesting is that now that I look at it, this one over here, which is the, let me dig this out here, the cowpeas, they seem to be doing better than the other 2. So maybe there's something to that. We'll find out. Memorial planter here. Nothing happening in that one as usual. At some point, maybe after a year, it'll stop being a memorial planter. I really did love my friend, but you know, you can only go with a memorial for, I don't know. Anyway, more basil. Not sure what this is. It's got to be in one of the previous episodes, and I'll have to label it once I get through processing everything. More broom corn. Again, not sure what that one is, but it's sprouting. We've got tomato, we've got basil, we've got tomato, and we've got tall zinnia, which is actually flowering now, although that flower seems to be struggling, but there are other buds popping up. The tomato, in the previous episodes you would have seen that I had a tomato growing. It was delicious, and I got a couple of pictures. It was really small, but it was still a pineapple tomato. So I'll give you a couple of pictures. And now we'll check things out from outside. You can kind of see how the garden's looking from the outside. And we've got the one on the corner here. A couple of flowers starting to bloom there, and if you look closely you can see there's some buds about to pop. So this one's doing nicely, although I suspect it needs a bigger pot now. The big planter on the ground here is doing nicely. I've done a lot of cleaning, cutting out dead stuff, so things are looking better today. This just sort of gives you a view from outside, and maybe not the most exciting view, but let's move on. So now we have what I'm calling the nursery, which is just a bunch of pots, which I did label, with various flowers growing in them, which will eventually be transplanted, although actually I had one plan and I may have another plan now. The ones that are really popping at this point are the morning glories, so we're doing good there. The Gerber daisies, not so good. The one that was left behind by somebody, that one's doing better than the one that I actually bought. But if you look closely in the pot there, I cut out all the dead leaves and there looks to be some new green growth, so maybe this will actually bounce back. Apparently they just don't like transplanting that much, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do there. We'll figure it out. On to the hanging planters. Really at this point some of the plants on the bottom are looking so sickly, and the ones at the top aren't really showing a whole lot. I mean, there is something up there, but not much. So I'm giving serious consideration to continuing the nursery idea and then transplanting stuff into the hanging planters. It's about time to replant some of this. This one, it looks like the plant on the top is dead, although if you look really close, there's a little bit of green up there. So what looks like a dead plant isn't necessarily. But then what was in the bottom died, so I pulled it. At this point I'm probably not going to plant anything else in the bottom of these planters. Just use them as traditional hanging planters. I've got this stuff around here is doing fairly well. This one needed a lot of dead stuff cut out of it. This hanging planter is doing actually quite nicely. I did cut some dead stuff out of there. There's still a little bit left in there, but it looks decent compared to the other ones. We've got the other plants running along here, and we got a couple of more hanging planters, and these, again, it's just like it's not showing much on the top. So my thinking here is I'm probably going to get a couple of pots back on my patio, kind of recreate the nursery, except I'll transplant some of the stuff that's in the tops of these so that I can ultimately replant the tops of all of these. The tomato plant on the bottom here is doing decent, so I might leave that one alone. But again, not a lot on the top there. And then I got this one down here, which was all broom corn, and I've transplanted it with, I think I put in 2 different morning glories and Gaillardia, and the morning glories were the first to pop. So we'll see if anything else pops. Actually, I see a little bit more green down there than I did this morning, so something may just be sprouting now. But that's that one. Then we're on to the one outside the office, and you can see there's some live and some dead. I'm pretty much just kind of leaving it alone. I may clean it up even more or transplant it at some point. Some of the planters along the back are doing better than others. We got the top of this one is doing fairly well. Nothing in the bottom. Not much coming out of the top of this one, so this might be a candidate for a complete replant. Moving on to the next one, and from a different angle. So on this next one here, it looks mostly dead on the top, but the tomato on the bottom is doing beautifully. So what to do with this one? I have to come up with a plan for all of this, really. Nothing showing on the top at all there, but again, the tomato doing beautifully on the bottom. And if we turn around, we got this planter doing well, although the big bush or tree or whatever it is that's in the middle there, it hasn't really gotten any bigger in the last few weeks. So I suspect what it is that root system just really needs a lot of space. So that's what that's looking like. And also all the little wildflowers, they're just not getting much bigger than they are right now. Plus, if we look at this one, about the same thing. In fact, actually, wildflowers are a little bit larger in the newer planter than they are in the older planter, which has had more time to grow. Go figure. Some of what you see there is also weeds. I've been kind of carefully pulling them out, letting them grow to a point where I can make sure they're weeds before I pull them. But that's pretty much it for that. And that leads us to this side where there's not a whole lot going on, and in fact, some of the plants are looking kind of sickly. They need more TLC, but I just haven't really had a whole lot of time to deal with the plants on this end, so I'm going to have to come up with a plan for dealing with them. We do have this one, which seems to be growing well, though. And with this one, I think that's it for this update. So we'll see what I decide to do in terms of all the transplanting, replanting, and all of that. More to come. Oops. This one was actually dumb enough to stick around long enough for me to go get my spray. He didn't like that. See if we can chase him down.